A lot of websites could learn from the time and energy that Huel have put into this site. That long product page with all that information is a real asset. And it's something that makes marketing to those pages a joy, because all of the objections, the questions that people might have are answered by that product page. So you really melt the resistance away from purchasers landing on that page. I also love how they're focusing on increasing average order value. Okay, but what about the stuff that they could be doing better? Well, for me, Huel is a direct-to-consumer powerhouse, growing to sales of £70 million. They have built a huge army of loyal fans called Hueligans because they've positioned their product, which is meal replacement shakes, very differently to anybody else in the space. In this video, we're going to be doing a digital marketing deep dive to see exactly what they've done to grow to this size. Spoiler alert, they're doing some incredible work. Their website in particular is one of the best e-commerce sites I can remember reviewing. But despite this, they are leaving some serious money on the table in other areas of their digital marketing. So whether your business is in the same space as Huel or not, stay tuned, because we're going to be drawing out some digital marketing lessons and pitfalls to avoid in this digital marketing deep dive of Huel. Let's go. So we're going to break today's show down into a few different sections. Firstly, we're going to look at the positioning and the key marketing messages that Huel have communicated to their audience. Next up, we're going to look at their website, how they communicate these key marketing messages on the site, what they do to increase their average order value, and the conversion rate on their website. Then we're going to take a look at the traffic sources. So particularly, what are they doing across social, influencer, and search to drive people to purchase through their website? Then we're going to look at their email marketing. Then at the end, I'm going to break down the key lessons and takeaways that you can apply to your own digital marketing to be a bit more Huel. Okay, so let's talk about positioning and how Huel positions itself. Traditionally, in the diet and fitness spaces, you've had people at either end of the spectrum. So you've had the fitness people that want to build muscle and they want to bulk up by taking on more protein. And then you've had the weight loss people that want to shrink down. So the fitness people want to put on weight, the weight loss people want to lose weight. The fitness people have been sold protein shakes and the weight loss people have been sold meal replacement shakes, amongst other things. These people get sold a whole lot of stuff. So where does Huel sit between these two markets? Well, really, it's a bit of a combination of both. You'll see when we take a look at their website in just a minute that they're focusing on the protein and the growth goals and the fitness targets, but they're also in the same breath talking about weight loss and body recomposition. So actually, they're kind of bridging these two different markets, which is a really interesting place to be in. Now, to make things slightly more interesting, they're selling meal replacement shakes largely to a crowd that haven't bought them before, i.e. this crowd, the fitness crowd. But they're also slightly selling the benefits of the weight loss piece as well. So they have the potential for this to be a really confused message. Is it weight loss? Is it weight gain? Is it protein? Is it low fat? Does it taste nice? Is it functional? But they found a really good balance of all of these elements. Let's take a look at the website and see exactly how they do this. The first thing we notice on the site is that the branding is very slick, black and white with a few accent colors here and there. This is designed to be high impact. I will notice that this color scheme is stuck to rigidly throughout everything that they do. Really clear brand identity here. We notice that the models used on the site are leaning towards the fitness crowd, right? This isn't a weight loss sale so far. So we're talking about smash your goals. So this is a very different thing to the kind of Weight Watchers Slim Fast type thing. Although we do see them mentioning losing weight here in the copy. We see them using phrases like meal prep, which is typically used by the fitness crowd. And we see them talking about carbs, protein, fiber, and fats, which is also fitness crowd language. So quite clearly they're seeing themselves more in the fitness crowd, and yet they do still talk about losing weight. So they've managed to strike this balance where predominantly they appear to be going after the fitness crowd, but they are still keeping one toe over in that weight loss side of things as well. As we'll see later on when we come to look at their ads, this can potentially get a little confusing, but most of the time they stay in this balance area quite well. Now, it's important to remember that this is essentially a new product concept to most of the target audience. Most of these people who are buying won't have thought of like a complete meal replacement product before. So this is an example of a business that not only has to sell their products to the audience, but they also have to sell the concept. They have to sell the idea. So let's take a look at how they do this. Firstly, you'll see that there's plenty of text on this page. They've got a very clear positioning statement here, which is the world's #1 complete food. Then they introduce exactly what this is all about and the key benefits. Basically, you're saving time and it's cheaper. We've got credibility showing that this is a popular thing. You wouldn't be the first person to try this out. And that's designed to remove some of the fear and remove some of the uncertainty that people might have. Then we've got some description about exactly what the product is and what it can do. And we've got these images as well, which are designed to reinforce for the target audience. We've got more benefits down here, and these are very cleverly identified based on the target audience's objections. We have more objection handling here by the fact that this is approved by registered dietitians and nutritionists. Now, all of the ones on the opening of this page are female. That could be important. Whether this is an accident or not, I'm not sure. But a lot of Huel's marketing traditionally was quite male focused, so I see this as an attempt to maybe softening some of that in order to bring in the female crowd. We've got more credibility, and then we've got the Hueligans. So we're gonna have a look at their Instagram feed in just a second, but one of the big principles behind Huel is listening and being very closely integrated with their fan base. We see this with user-generated content on their Instagram feed. We'll also see this in the forum that they host on their website. This has been really key to their success, being really close to their audience and getting their audience involved. They call their fans Hueligans. They give them a label which allows people to self-identify and tag themselves as a Hueligan on Insta or wherever they're posting. Now, there's loads of psychological stuff behind why it's good to have your people identifying as a fan for your brand, but Huel do a great job of enabling that and encouraging it. On their Instagram, we learn who the Huel customer really is, or who they prioritize in their customer group. We see that there's lots of user-generated content from people of a particular age, so probably less than 40, let's say. We've got fitness people, we've even got some NHS staff here as well. We've got some company values which are designed to resonate with the target customer. And we can see from the pictures, for example, using young people in workout gear, that this is very much designed to be primarily aimed towards that market. Before we move on and look at the website in a bit more detail, I wanted to talk about Huel's use of personality, and in particular the personality of the founder, Julian Hearn. Now, Julian is featured in lots of their marketing and as the chief marketing officer, but you also see smatterings of Julian elsewhere. For example, when you buy, you get a little package insert that's hand-signed by Julian. Well, not hand-signed, but you know what I mean. And for me, this is really important. This is a business that clearly understands what is important to its customers, and they've got really well-prepared answers for all of the sustainability questions they get asked. They've got questions about allergies and veganism and all this type of stuff, which they know is really important to their audience, as is personality and accountability. Lots of their values are around doing the right thing. And for me, this is a business that really understands its audience so well that it can align it really closely with what's important to that audience. Okay, so let's have a look at the website from a conversion optimization perspective. We've already taken a look at their homepage. What I want to do now is go into one of the product pages to see how they're laid out, because for me, these are incredible. Now, obviously we're looking at desktop because this allows us to take in the most information possible. Exactly the same information is present on the mobile edition as well. The first thing that we've got is the product name. We've got product information here. Then we've got the flavor choices. Now, this is quite an interesting way of displaying flavor choices, quite different to how most feature selectors work on other e-commerce stores, but it works pretty well, and it allows you to add multiple items for each flavor, which is really important because this is designed to increase average order value. So you can stock up with loads of different products, and it's really, really easy to do this. The next key thing is they're already nudging you towards subscription. Subscription is the default option when you land on these product pages. Yes, they're trying to sell you a subscription before they're selling you a one-time purchase. So if you want to go for the one-time purchase, you can, but you've got to actively select this. So if we think about what this business is really doing, this business is trying to replace the food that you buy from the supermarket. They want as big a slice of your food expenditure as they can possibly get. And having you subscribe to their service is going to build commitment with you to continue purchasing and to continue using the product. And obviously the subscription numbers are going to be fantastic for their revenue as well. Then just when they're asking for your trust here, they're giving you reasons to give them trust. They're using credibility triggers. So we've got the Trustpilot reviews, and we've also got all of the places that they've been featured in. Why are they doing this? Because just there is where they want you to purchase, so they want to remove as many objections as they possibly can around that purchase. But let's say that you're not convinced and you keep scrolling down. Firstly, we're getting an advert here to get a free bag of banana powder if you become a Hueligan, signing up for the mailing list. Great way of incentivizing people to submit their email even if they don't purchase. Now, what's interesting is you only get this product when you actually buy something. So they're not giving you something free, they're giving you something sort of free. Either they're very confident in the banana flavor or they've just got a whole bunch of stock that needs shifting. But let's say that you're not convinced and you keep scrolling down the page. Firstly, we get information about what's inside. This is going to be really important. This is going to be one of those questions that if they don't answer adequately, it's going to be impossible for people to make the purchase. People aren't just going to buy on trust alone. They need to know exactly what's in here. This gives you a comprehensive but quick look at exactly what's inside. We then have additional product features. Now I'm actually seeing these as removal of objections. Anytime you see something free, what they're doing is they're removing an objection, right? Well, I'm a vegetarian, so I can't get this. But it's 0 animal products. It might go off quickly, I might not use it. But it's 1 year shelf life. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to knock out those possible objections that you'd have in order to get purchased. Then we've got even more detailed FAQs. We've got more sciencey looking stuff. This is really important because Huel has to build credibility as a well-informed, expert-led sciencey product. If it's going to convince Hueligans to just hand over to outsource their whole nutrition, it needs to convince them that there is science and there is expertise behind this. So hence the use of illustrations and graphics to give that kind of sciencey opinion. See shampoo ads for more. Then we've got another question answered about sustainability, carbon footprint. Then we've got more credibility. Then we've got testimonials pulled from Trustpilot. This for me is an excellent product page. It's almost like a long form sales page, but for each product. There's very little I would recommend to improve about this page. Yes, they could potentially get an advert for each different product in video form, which would answer all the questions that people might have. But for text and images on a page, this is fantastic. Yes, they could potentially get a video description of each product with a bit more information about how it's formulated, who's behind it, and all that type of stuff. Yes, they could get well-known influencers talking about their favorite flavors and adding a bit more credibility there. But overall, this is a fantastic product page. Now, on the topic of overcoming objections, they have this fantastic FAQ section, which gives pretty detailed answers to a whole bunch of different questions categorized by the topics. Now, one thing I would like to see them do slightly better here is actually to separate some of these into their own pages. For example, if we Google, is Huel vegan? The answer that comes up is actually from a third-party site. Google is struggling to show a single page which has that answer on, which is a shame and completely unnecessary because actually Huel has answered that question here. So if I was looking to optimize this further, I would create separate pages for each of these FAQs with is Huel vegan? And yes, Huel is vegan. There's no animal products in any of our product range, and then just create basically a sales letter for vegans about why Huel is fantastic, linking through to products. This would be a really simple way of picking up some extra search volume from people that are in the consideration stage of the buyer journey that aren't quite ready to purchase yet. If I'm searching is Huel vegan, I'm likely thinking about purchasing. Now, the downside of forcing me onto a third-party site is I still might not purchase as a result of this. And if I do, I might be purchasing through an affiliate link or something which is costing Huel money, all just because they haven't properly SEO'd their FAQ section. So that is low-hanging fruit piece number 1. Although you might not eat fruit if you're on Huel, I don't know. Now, another piece of digital marketing gold, but maybe not for the reason that you might be thinking, is Huel's forum. So they have this forum built onto the website at discuss.huel.com. Now, this is a great asset for them. Why? Because on here, they have collected all of the Hueligans' questions, comments, objections, and feedback. Now, if you look through some of these topics, you'll see that they are really popular. There are Huel staff in there. There are lots of Hueligans talking in there as well. This is a great way for Huel to pick up what the objections and the common questions are going to be so that they can answer them on their product pages and on their website as well. Now, it can sometimes be difficult for an e-commerce brand to get these sorts of objections from their customers because either people convert or they don't. Yes, you might get people talking through live chat and asking questions. Yes, you might get people giving you a call or dropping you an email to ask a question, but oftentimes those questions are just invisible because they're happening in the customer's mind and preventing the purchase. Whereas actually what we've got here is we've got a nice way for people to ask their questions, get them answered, and for Huel to see what the common threads are that they can answer in their products. This also tells you about what's important to the customers. For example, there are questions in here about the sustainability of Huel's packaging, and they've put together an answer which convincingly answers this question, yet the packaging isn't fundamentally sustainable. So it's been really interesting to see how they've used the information in this forum to kind of construct a narrative around certain things that they know are important to their customers. If you're enjoying this video, click like and hit subscribe. We release a new one every single week. Seriously, they beat me badly if I don't record one. So every single week a new video comes out, and we also do live webinars as well. It's our goal to get to 100k subscribers before the end of 2022. So please help us in our mission. Click subscribe, back to the show. Okay, so we've had a look at their website. Now let's take a look at how they're driving traffic to it. We're gonna look at social, particularly focusing on the ads that they're running, influencer, and search. Now, first thing that we see from their Facebook ad library is that there is a very consistent aesthetic. We talked about that high impact black and white, and that is exactly what we see here, just as we would expect. We also know that they tend to favor video ads, as their senior performance marketing manager, Ben, credits video to turning around the performance of their marketing in the US. Now, one of the things that stands out with these ads compared to some of the others that we've looked at in these teardowns is that there's quite a lot of ad copy. If we compare this, for example, to the Movement Watches ads, where there's very, very sparse, like 1 or 2 lines of text, this is very different. But if we think about what Huel is actually trying to do, Huel is trying to explain a concept as well as sell a product. So they have to put a lot more work in to do that compared to someone like Movement, where they just show a product and there it is. You understand what a watch looks like. Whereas here we've got benefits and things that we need to communicate. They're running these ads across Facebook, Instagram, Audience Network, and Messenger, just as we would expect. And let's talk about influencers, because there are clearly some influencers being used. For example, here we have Kuru, and this looks to be a sort of brand partnership. If we go on her profile, we'll see that she has Huel as one of the brands that she works with. But really, there's not many of these. If you have a look on Instagram for #Huel or #Hueligan, you find relatively few influencers. This is quite interesting. Now, they do pick up some organic tags. For example, people like this guy saying, "This is not a promo, I genuinely love this product," and he's posting a photo with Huel. Same here. Jim Dunn, after taking advice, I'm dumping the cardio session in favor of finals prep, and then he's tagged Huel Black and Huel Black Edition. We also have this. Now, this is really interesting because even though there's relatively few interactions with this post, just 11 likes in about a week, these people are asking questions which imply they are in the consideration stage of the buyer journey. Been looking at that. Like it? I'm loving the strawberries and cream. I'll have to give this a try. I'm going to try it. So even though this person has a relatively small audience and relatively low engagement, it looks like actually this post is going to spur at least a few purchases. So, how do you take this to the next level? Well, you can borrow a strategy used by the Hut Group's MyProtein or by our client Soccer Supplement. And what you can do is you can create an affiliate program for influencers. If you send out affiliate codes as package inserts with the product that you send out, then people can offer their voucher code in their caption. For example, dinner time, so far the best flavor from Huel. Get 10% off, use code whatever. What will happen there is it will incentivize the influencer to post about it. It incentivizes their followers to buy because they get a discount. And it really shows Huel who the most impactful influencers are, which are the ones that are actually driving product purchases. Otherwise, these are just going to look like direct conversions in Google Analytics. They'll have no idea where these people came from. So by using this affiliate voucher code strategy and sending out voucher codes to your customers, you build a way of tracking how influential each of your customers are and how many purchases they're driving. So then it's up to you whether you choose to reward them in cash, which is really unappealing, or bonus points or products or something like that instead. That's up to you. But using that sort of strategy can allow you to really mobilize an army of influencers to post about you, particularly if some of your followers are showing inclination to doing this already without any incentive at all. The other thing that I'd like to see Huel test is running promotions with bigger influencers as a sponsorship program. So recently, Stephen Bartlett declared that he was now a Huel shareholder and he had some shareholding in Huel. And as a result, he's promoting it everywhere and you see the product in all his podcasts and videos. Great! You can do that with lots of other influencers and you don't need to give them a share of the company. Having said that, we've seen this be a very successful strategy for clients of ours where they'll give high-profile influencers a share of the business in return for a certain amount of creative or a certain amount of exposure to their large audience. Now, obviously, you've got to be careful. You don't want to give away too much of your business, but if you have a lower budget and you know that influencers are going to be really important to the growth of your business, this is one way that you can incentivize them, get them a bit interested in being involved without having to shell out cash. But Huel has the cash, so I'd really like to see them sponsoring some more prominent athletes and people with bigger followings. Okay, let's now take a look at Huel's search visibility, both organic and paid. So we can see that their mixture of organic and paid has changed over time, and in particular, over the last year and a half, and I'm filming this in mid-2021, their investment in paid search has increased significantly. Now, the pattern in the US has been slightly different, where they were investing much more heavily in 2019, then they had a bit of a dip in 2020, only to go back in 2021. But really, the UK is where they have the majority of their visibility. Now, here is where there is so much opportunity. If we take a look at their organic rankings, i.e. the things that they're showing up for on Google, you'll see that the majority of the keywords that they're ranking for are actually branded, i.e. this is people searching for Huel terms. So we've got Huel, Huel UK, Huel discount code, NHS discounts, which is okay, but it's going to be a fairly low commercial intent phrase for them. Huel weight loss, Huel review, Huel. Now, it's not until we get down to meal replacement shake, meal replacement shakes, meal replacement that we start getting into the non-branded commercial terms, i.e. the phrases searched for by people who aren't already looking for Huel. This to me is a massive opportunity. If you can target these phrases, these are phrases searched by people who are looking for a Huel-like product, but they might not already know about Huel. Now, one of the things that we notice about these phrases, which tells us that there's possibility to improve ranking for them, is that it's the homepage that's ranking for them. If we go to their homepage and we do a search for meal replacement, we find that this phrase isn't actually used anywhere on the homepage. So this page is ranking for meal replacement, even though it doesn't use that phrase. Now, obviously, that's a very basic analysis of the SEO of this page, but needless to say, if we're not even using that keyword in the copy on this page, there is plenty of scope to improve the optimization of this page for those terms. But what will be better is to get a separate page set up for meal replacement shakes, which could be optimized for that phrase and target the type of audience that are likely to be searching for that phrase without knowing about Huel already. So this could be a great way to introduce the concept of meal replacement shakes, talk about why Huel is different to others that are out there, talk about the benefits, and then get someone signed up on an offer. Now, here's another opportunity. We see that they're ranking for phrases like to gain weight or how to gain weight. Yes, they're not ranking particularly well, positions 28 and 25, so lots of opportunity for improvement. But they've got these pages on the site, which we'd call a knowledge base. It's the kind of FAQ guide section of the site, and it's Huel Guide to Gaining Weight. Now, I would rephrase this and I'd say how to gain weight, right? I wouldn't make it Huel Guide to Gain Weight because that's not what people have searched for. If you want to target cold organic traffic, you want to match the searcher's question. So how to gain weight, and then I'd probably get some of the people that are involved in making Huel, some of the nutritionists to talk about different principles behind weight gain. Then I would make sure that Huel products are featured throughout this article. At the moment, there's really nothing to move you into a purchase. We're talking about how Huel can help and all that type of stuff, but what we don't do is then link people through to the product page. So what's likely to be happening is they'll be getting some traffic to this site. They could be getting more if this page was ranking better, but it's not going to be converting to customers as much as it could do because they're not actually pushing people into the right products for them. So what I'd be doing, like I say, I get the nutritionist talking about how to gain weight. We'd get some basic science questions answered. We'd make this as detailed as possible. I put an index at the top so people could skip through to the right section for them. And then you probably have top Huel products for gaining weight and some features and comparison tables which allow people to click through to the product that was right for them. Loads of opportunity with this. This sort of knowledge-based content can be fantastic because it allows you to rank for really high traffic, popular phrases like how to gain weight with 12,000 searches per month just in the UK, and drive people through. You get them on a problem that they've got in their head, get some content in front of them, and then get them buying the product as the fix to that problem. So really important strategy and they're currently not making the most of it, which is exciting. Now, one thing I do really like that they're doing here is competitor brand targeting. So here we see they're ranking second for Soylent UK, and the page that's ranking is this one, comparison to Soylent. Now, Soylent is a competitor product. They are ranking second for when people search for it. That is brilliant, and this is a great strategy that you can use if you've got popular competitors and you want to kind of steal a bit of their traffic. Yes, by all means, run branded ads against their name, but you can also outrank them organically if you've got some really good content, you've got a much higher authority site, and you write some really detailed posts. So what else could they be doing with their organic search? Well, I'd like to see them heavily targeting two more types of keywords. Firstly, generic protein shake type phrases. This is a really competitive space, and you've got big players like MyProtein and Bulk that have invested huge amounts in their organic SEO in this space. But the key is to find variations of these phrases. So you don't necessarily just target protein, you might target protein for bulking up. And maybe you can produce some content around that which gets you ranking well for those sorts of terms. Though obviously you have to find variations or variants of those terms which you know that you can rank for, particularly if they tie into the advantages of your product over that thing. So for example, if they, rather than targeting protein powders, if they targeted protein powder for bulking or something like that, where because they have a product that works for bulking, then this could be really relevant to them. So I'd like to see them targeting that stuff. The other sort of keywords I'd like to see them targeting are actually more around fat loss. Now, they don't talk a huge amount about fat loss on the website. Yes, this is something that they claim the product will do, but they don't really push it as a main benefit. I think that there is space to be a little bit more aggressive here. We've got pages like this on the site, the Huel Guide to Fat Loss, where they could potentially rephrase this to how to lose fat. Again, get their nutritionists and their dietitians talking about fat loss, and then linking in the best products for fat loss. So I think there's some opportunities here as well where they could be more aggressive. If we move over to talking about paid search, we'll see they're actually using some of this in the paid search side of things. Now, at the time of filming this video in July 2021, paid search is clearly a big priority for Huel, and it's been growing. Let's have a look at some of the phrases that they've been targeting. So branded search, great, targeting that, absolute no-brainer. Also protein shakes. Now, protein shakes are very competitive and typically quite an expensive phrase to target. You'll pay a lot cost per acquisition for a protein shake customer because so many people are bidding on those phrases. But because Huel is leading with their subscription offer, this is likely going to improve their average order value, their customer stickiness, because if you buy a protein powder from someone else who sells generic protein powders that you can buy elsewhere, then you're less likely to get that repeat customer. Whereas if you're buying Huel, this is a specific product, you're more likely to repurchase from there. So they've got these two things weighing in their favor, which means they can be a bit more aggressive with terms like protein shake and potentially push the customer acquisition cost a little higher than maybe some of their competitors will be able to justify. We also see them targeting SlimFast. Now, SlimFast is a competitor in weight loss and a very different proposition to Huel. Very different marketing, very different look and feel. Let's take a look at the SlimFast website to see what sorts of customers Huel is trying to pick up from targeting this phrase. So if we go onto the SlimFast site, we'll notice that a lot of the ways that these sorts of products are pitched is on taste. This is, you're not having to compromise taste in order to lose weight. So we see delicious looking foods and we talk about delicious flavors and that type of thing. Now, if we have a look at the video, we'll see that the difference in positioning between SlimFast and Huel is massive. We've got demographic difference, we've got image difference, we've got fitness level difference. This is like a completely different audience. Here we're talking about feeling good, feeling free, dropping a dress size, and that is totally not Huel's message. So they're running ads to this crowd, and the landing page that they're pushing is this page here. So look at how different this positioning is. This is a big black bag. This is functional. This is fitness. This is training. This is push-ups in the park. Push-ups in the park is exactly what the SlimFast crowd are trying to avoid. This is not what's interesting to them at all. So I'm not convinced that they've got the angle of this page right. The strategy, yes, great. Let's target the diet shakes. Let's target these sorts of competitors. But if you're going to do that, you need to go with a proposition that's going to be attractive and appealing to these people. So a couple of ways that you could do this. Firstly, you could reconfigure this page to be more appealing to the people that are looking for emphasis on taste. They're looking for emphasis on dropping dress sizes and that type of stuff. What you could do is just reposition the product and talk about different things, highlight different benefits and features. The other thing that you could do is create a separate product specifically for weight loss, or even a separate brand targeting weight loss but using the same technologies. This is obviously a bit higher commitment, but if they were going to go aggressively after the slim fast crowd, there is such a different message here. I wonder if they're going to be able to sustain both audiences and satisfy both audiences on the same website without losing, without watering down some of that messaging that has made them so successful to date. So there's clear opportunity here, but it requires more thought than just sticking up a generic landing page. In my opinion, I would expect this page to be relatively unsuccessful at converting a high enough proportion of the slim fast crowd to Huel customers to really be worth it. And with a few tweaks and a bit of focused energy on what slim fast people are looking for, I think you can make a much better attempt of targeting that crowd. If I'm a slim fast person, I'm thinking dress sizes, I'm thinking delicious brownies. I am not thinking, get me some Huel and I'll do some push-ups in the mud. That is not my vibe. Okay, let's talk email marketing. You know that we're big fans of email marketing here at Exposure Ninja. We do a lot of it for our clients. So let's have a look at Huel's email marketing and see how they approach this vital channel. So the sort of emails that Huel is sending, very slick, very polished. Everything is tied in with their brand image exactly as we would expect. This is clearly a business that is confident talking from the business's perspective, right? We don't have these emails coming from an individual. This isn't Julian, this is Huel that is talking. Now, obviously this is a product promotion email, so there's not a huge amount of value to it, but we do see them running these sorts of emails as well, talking about 3 reasons to eat more protein. Now, interesting that they sent this a few days before the promotion email for the new protein product, right? Now, obviously, without seeing how they're segmenting their audience and what sort of automations they have running, we don't know how they're targeting these. But with a brand like Huel, we would expect to see a few different automations in place. The first one would be a repeat purchase automation. So this would be for someone who's bought a product. We know that they need to be restocking in, say, 4 to 8 weeks time. So we then set up an automated email sequence, which was timed to coincide with the time when they should be running out of the product. This is really important to remind them to repurchase. You can also include emails in this sequence, re-emphasizing the value of the product to get people to use it. Whilst it's great if people just buy your product and just leave it in the cupboard without using it, it's not ideal because it means that they're not going to be repurchasing. So you need to resell them on the thing that they've just bought to get them to use it. Remember, this is a business that makes money from the repeat purchase. So you need to get someone addicted to it, i.e. replacing the food in their life with Huel in order for that customer to really become valuable. We'd also expect them to be running cart abandonment emails. So anybody who'd put a product in their cart and they'd logged in on the website but hadn't checked out, we like to see them running those ads as well. And also remarketing and retargeting ads to incentivize the purchase if people haven't checked out the first time they land on the page. Going back to that affiliate strategy that we talked about earlier with the influencers, this would give them another reason to reach out to people if they were sending them a voucher code. So they could introduce people to the affiliate program, they could explain how they could get some of their Huel paid for, or they could get additional Huel swag like t-shirts and gear and come and meet the team at Huel or whatever if they refer a certain number of people to make their purchase through their voucher code. So this would give them another reason to talk to people. And really that's a lot of the game with email marketing. You want a reason to talk to people that isn't just we want to sell you stuff. So it's about having that dialogue. It's about giving people a reason to hear from you and making sure that they're excited when they do. This might be talking with influencers who use your product and running interviews with them, and then you can email people out saying, hey look, we've just interviewed this person who you might be a big fan of to talk about why they use it and how they use it and that type of thing. So think outside the box to think, what can we give people that they enjoy so much that they might actually pay to subscribe to the emails? Now that might seem like a crazy concept, but if you can get the value of your emails high enough that people would actually be willing to pay for them, that means you're going to have a much higher open and much higher engagement rate, which is obviously going to help you make more money, which, let's be honest, that's why you're here, right? Watching this thinking, this breakdown's killer. I'd love them to do a breakdown of my website. Well, you're in luck. All you need to do is go to exposureninja.com and click the big button to request your free website and digital marketing review. What will happen when you do is you'll get a questionnaire asking you a few questions about the digital marketing that you're doing currently and your goals for the business. One of our team will then carry out a review, much like we're doing here, looking at your website, your traffic sources, and even your competitors to see what you could be doing differently or what you could tweak and improve in order to drive more leads and sales through your website. This service is completely free of charge. That's mad, right? But it's completely free of charge. So all you need to do is go to exposureninja.com and click the button to request your free website and digital marketing review today. All right, let's talk about the marketing lessons that you can apply based on Huel's growth. Well, for me, one of the main strengths of Huel is actually their positioning. How they've taken a product, meal replacement shakes, which is fairly common in the market and is a fairly crowded space, but through clever positioning, they've managed to essentially create a category of one by targeting the meal replacement shakes at the fitness crowd and making it all about protein and carbs and macros. They've really carved their own space. This is a really important lesson, and it's one of the things that we'll often find ourselves challenging our clients on. Now, there's a great book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which is about helping you redefine what you offer and put it in a blue ocean, i.e. a place which is less competitive, where there's less fighting amongst different competitors. And this is a really important point. Marketing becomes much easier if you're marketing something which kind of stands on its own, has a clear audience, and has very clear messages which resonate well with that audience. It's very difficult to outmarket a bad product or a bad position. Huel doesn't have these problems because it's been built and designed very strategically to work in this new space. And that is a lesson that we cannot overlook here. Another thing that they're doing really well is positioning this on the website. Now, even though this has come at the expense of the weight loss crowd, Huel are very happy to go after the fitness crowd and make all of their marketing about that, being very consistent with the images and the models that they're using in their photos. A lot of websites could learn from the time and energy that Huel have put into this site. That long product page with all that information is a real asset, and it's something that makes marketing to those pages a joy, because all of the objections, the questions that people might have are answered by that product page. So you really melt the resistance away from purchasers landing on that page. I also love how they're focusing on increasing average order value by incentivizing purchase to get free delivery, and they're incentivizing the first purchase, offering a free shaker bottle and a free t-shirt, which also gives you this self-image of being a Hueligan, because now here you are in your t-shirt with your shaker bottle all Huelified. It's brilliant, and it makes that first purchase, which is so important for a subscription business like this, much easier to generate. Okay, but what about the stuff that they could be doing better? Well, for me, there is lots of marketing potential. We saw how organic search, there was loads of potential to target some of these phrases around meal replacement shakes with dedicated pages. I'd also like to see them be a bit more aggressive with the protein shake angle and try to challenge for some ranking for those. There's also an opportunity to use their in-house trainer and all the expertise that they have in the business to produce more fitness, weight gain and weight loss content on the site, creating a knowledge base around how to get fit, exercises that you can do, and that type of thing. Now, this sort of content is a goldmine because you can send your email subscribers to it. You can get it ranked for those sorts of phrases in search, similar to how My Protein has done, knowing that when people come onto the site for fitness-related content, there's a reasonable chance that you might be able to convert them into a Huel customer at some point. Thinking more strategically about their marketing, there's also a potential opportunity to go a bit more heavily after the weight loss crowd. But if they're going to do that and they're going to target competitor brands like SlimFast, I'd like to see them optimizing their landing pages for that crowd. At the moment, they're just sending the SlimFast crowd to the Huel pages, which is going to be a little bit like sending the people from the spa day into a CrossFit gym. It's going to be a complete mishmash. These are totally different audiences. They need completely separate messages and very different images to convert. So I think there's a little bit more thought there, but for me, that is a massive opportunity for Huel to expand, whether it's through a different product or a different brand. I think that will be where they really take things to the next level, because that is a huge audience. So I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into Huel's digital marketing. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy it, And also don't forget to request your free website and digital marketing review from us here at Exposure Ninja. We're a digital marketing agency that helps businesses of all shapes and sizes to generate more leads and sales from their website. So if you're looking to generate more leads and sales through your website, request your free website and digital marketing review from us today. Just go to exposureninja.com, click that button, and we will send your digital marketing review to you, usually within 2 to 3 working days, completely free of charge. So go to exposureninja.com and request your free digital marketing review today. Until next time, see you soon.